Well, Barry, there's a quote from an old preacher many years ago that said, "The good Lord, well, he's never been late, but he's missed some good opportunities to be early." So I guess that poses the question here, Barry, that since he's probably not going to be early, do we just sit
Probably
around and
not.
wait? Or do we find something to do? Because maybe the reason why in our mind it looks like he's delaying is because he's wanting to see if we're going to get engaged with that prayer or just sit around and wait. All right. What say you about that?
I'd say the way you're talking right now, you might have been that preacher that offered that one-liner there.
Yeah, well, no, it wasn't me. I wish it was, but I'll give you an example. I had a guy a number of years ago, a part of our a church that we were attending in Tucson, and he had a family. He'd been out of work for some time. Was had a disability, a slight disability that didn't really keep him from working. But he was to the point that he could was there was no food in the house. They were about to lose the house, and no money in the bank, and pretty much about to lose everything. And I went over there and I was trying to talk to him, and he says, "Well," and I mean, he got angry when I said, you need to get out of that recliner and do something." He says, "Nope, I've been praying, and when God wants to answer, somebody will knock at the door." Barry, is that kind of the attitude people have sometimes? As well, I've prayed, and because of that, somebody's going to come knock at my door and tell me what to do. But until then, I'm just going to sit here and rock.
It's kind of like Noah assembling all the building materials with the blueprints that he's drawn up and sitting there waiting for the boards to put themselves in place so he can nail them. It just it doesn't work that way.
Well, that's what Darwin would have done.
That yeah. I was sitting here and an ark come together.
Yeah,
Uh, so I decided to get on board.
sure.
Um, there is a time for prayer,
Hmm.
and we've all preached about those that say, "Well, let's just pray about it." And the response is, "Well, I prayed about it last week. It's time to do something about it this week."
Uh-huh.
Praying about it is a good thing. It is the right thing. It is the first thing, but it is not the only thing. And there is a time where you stop praying and you start working toward the answer of your prayer. If we're going to pray and trust Him for an answer, we have to be willing to be a part of the answer. Now, that's for ourselves. If I'm praying, Father, I need more income, then I need to be willing to do my part and find a way to increase my income. If I'm praying for someone else to be benefited, whether that's for healing or finances or encouragement or whatever it might be, I need to be willing to be a part of the answer. Well, for them to be financially blessed, it may mean I need to give them some money or offer them a job or find a way to help them. So if prayer is just speaking to the ceiling unless we're willing to act on it.
Well, I think you hit a word there and I think I probably talked about this years ago. I mean, we've been doing this program for how many decades now?
I think I was in my early 20s when we got started.
Yeah, and I was in my teens, so I mean, yeah. No, I actually was moving files around the other day, and I think I have files going back to 2014. So it's been a while since taught on this.
Yeah.
I think you might have kind of ran over it there. There's an interesting word that people put with the word prayer, and it's only used really regarding when we talk about prayer, and that is the word just. Okay.
Okay.
How many times have you heard people, well, let's just pray? Why are you using the word just there? What's the purpose of that? Let's say that you're all sitting around in the living room and you're like, we need to go to the restaurant and get something to eat. Okay, well, let's just get in the car. Okay. So now you're sitting in the car hungry. Um, you know, let's just get into better shape. Okay. I'll buy a recliner that doesn't have an electric button on it. We're just going to sit. I mean, Barry, is that and I say this is of course tongue in cheek, but does using the word just before the word prayer really, in a way, reveal our attitude toward prayer? That it's something that is done. However, I'm not really expecting much from this. Okay. And so when you just pray and just nothing happens, you got just what you expected. That's A plus B equals C.
I would love
maybe
to be
change.
I would love to be a fly on the wall at Life Assembly this Shabbat because I got a feeling it's going to be a barn burner.
I don't know. I would imagine that this week at Life Assembly is going to be a little different because as you know, Tuesday morning, Bezrat Hashem, God willing, I'll be on an El Al jet to Israel for just over a week. But and we can talk about that in a few minutes. But yeah, I mean, it's something that it's as you said, and we've talked about this probably ad nauseum or whatever those words are. Which is probably to the it should be. We've talked about it as much. We're making people nauseous about it. Maybe the reason he waits is to see what we're going to do. If we're going to do something about it, or are we just asking him to do something? Because I hadn't figured out a lot about God, about the Almighty. There's a lot of things I hadn't figured out. One of the things I have figured out is that he expects me to do as much as I expect him to do. So if I'm just praying and just asking, and he's looking down and going, but you're just doing nothing, then it might be that's the reason why that nothing's happening. The answer may be in our actions. Okay, so let's go to something we mentioned going into this. I would hope, I would just pray that that everyone over the last 96 days has been engaged in praying for Israel.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope and pray that there would be no one that is allowed a day to go by that hasn't in some way prayed for Israel, prayed for the release of the hostages. I found myself this morning, Barry, something different. This hadn't really come up, that I began to pray for those that have been released.
Yeah.
I mean, think about what their life is. Those people know what the other hostages are going through. Some of those young ladies that have been released know the frequency of the physical abuse that is still going on. What must the trauma be to them? But Barry, we've been praying for almost 100 days right now, and over 100 hostages are still are still there, I don't know what else to do but to continue to pray.
Yeah, and how do you even formulate a response to my prayer has also been, unfortunately, Father, those that have already perished.
Yeah.
You know, I understand that many that were of those that remain are military personnel, especially young men. And I don't know that they would have allowed them to survive thus far.
Baby just turned 1. A
Um,
baby that's a month about a month older than Homolk's grandchild just turned 1 in captivity.
so those that have perished, Father, may their remains be found, that they can be given dignity and honor, and that their families can have closure. Cannot imagine what it would be like if somehow this all got wrapped up. However, it comes to some whatever conclusion, military conclusion or political conclusion. And there's a key point. Pray that it not be a political conclusion, that it be a military conclusion, that they
Victory.
eradicate to the last member of Hamas and seal the deal on that militarily. But once it's all resolved, that there would be families left in Israel saying, what about my family member? What did you find? Well, we didn't find them. We mean you didn't find them. Where are they? We don't know.
Yeah.
Well, how is there a conclusion? It's like the families that at the end of Vietnam War that never got their remains of their loved ones back or any understanding of are they MIA, are they KIA, exactly what is their condition. And up until the last decade or so, there was movements of we need special ops to go in and make sure that they're not still held in a prison somewhere and being tortured. So
Yeah.
you used to see the flags MIA or KIA POWs.
Yeah. You still see those some.
Not as often as we used to, but I mean,
Yeah.
Vietnam's been a long time ago at this point.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, that doesn't take away the hurt and the pain of the family. It's a whole. So what do we do meantime? As far as ourselves here outside of the land of Israel, wherever we may be located, it's not like we would be permitted to go in and say, we volunteer to go in and see if we can find them. That's not going to happen. We don't have the training, we don't have the expertise, we wouldn't know where to even begin.
Yeah. Most people couldn't follow the orders of left and right and straight because they don't know those 3 words in Hebrew. So, I mean, you're totally useless.
So we pray and we support and we post things social media wise or wherever we can find, and we stay positive and focused. As you said, we don't let days go by where we're saying nothing.
Hmm.
If you know someone in the land, let them know you're in my heart, my mind, my thoughts, my prayers. You're not forgotten. How can I help? What else can I do? When we pray, as you say, just pray, and then sit back and do nothing, that's to me an act of unbelief. Belief says, I have prayed. Now, what my hand finds to do, I'm going to do it. And it may seem to be totally unrelated. I may be praying about my automobile being repaired. I don't know how to repair it, and I can't get it to a shop, or all of my efforts to get this thing fixed has come to a dead end. Father, show me what to do, show me how to work. And it may be that the next thing that my hand finds to do is to do a podcast.
Yeah.
So I do the podcast. What are you doing? Why aren't you focused on your automobile? I've come to a brick wall in my automobile. I've asked God to help me with that, and I'm going to continue to work doing what I know to do. It's in the faithfulness of faithfulness. I'm seeking to be faithfully faithful. You know, my faithfulness is not just sporadic here and there.
Mhm.
Be faithful to be faithful and stay at it. And Yah, you know, when Yah says they've done what they can do, they've asked me, they've invited me to invest my hand in the midst of this thing, and yet they've not quit. They've continued about my kingdom. I'm seeking his kingdom first.
Mhm.
This other stuff will then be added to me.
You know, I'm thinking about it that a person has a typical job. Okay, I have not had a typical job for a lot of years, but you know, I remember sitting or working air traffic control up in Anchorage and various places, and you know the uh, the pilots of aircraft were not really concerned about if I'd had a bad day or not. They didn't get on the microphone and said, Tower, how you feeling today? You okay? You didn't have, you weren't out late last night, were you? No, they just expected me to do my job. And is it possible that in the midst of things coming into our lives, you're talking about a car breaking down or whatever it may be, maybe a sickness. I'll cough through that. Um, just God willing, just right on the edge of over this thing. But he expects us. Are we? Are we in the midst of those things coming into our lives? Are we still focused on his kingdom? Let me give you an example. And I'm not trying to make myself up as some kind of a great example because you know me too well. Uh, but I don't need you sharing secrets. Um, I got yeah, I know. Yeah, get that duct tape. Um, I'm not concerned about you as much concerned about you as Laura. Okay, so don't
I
tell
ain't
her that.
saying that's on you, buddy. That's
um,
on you.
so about 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks in a day or two, um, Kathy had been sick for a couple days, and I all of a sudden found myself in bed. And I mean, to the point that I was having to talk to myself for 5 to 10 minutes to try to figure out how I was going to get enough energy to get up out of the bed. And anybody that's ever been around me knows I don't even know how to be sick. Okay, because I just not something that happens to me very often. But while I was laying there in bed, Kathy and I had been talking off and on about me going to Israel, and it was like, well, when the timing's right, when the timing's right. And I found myself laying in that bed and began to pray. Okay, Father, I think I'm going to get out of this bed one of these days. Um, is the timing right? And I began to ask, and I said, Father, if the timing's right, then have Kathy ask me about it, because I mean, she's the number one here as far as um, for most people, it's just you might not have a podcast one day, but she's got the most in this game. And so I just began. I began to. Yeah, I know you get it. Some habits are just hard to. Yeah,
I'm just sitting up here
I
praying for you, bro. Go ahead.
yeah. I began to pray that if it was time for me to go, that Kathy would in the midst of sickness, both of us sick, would ask about it. So we were sitting there just about a week ago, and she looked over at me and she said, "When you going?" I was like, "Okay, okay." So what I'm saying is that no matter what you're going through, no matter the difficulties that life has thrown at you, stay kingdom minded. Stay focused on what it is that he's desiring you to do. And I have a funny feeling if we'll stay fixed, focused on his desires, that he is going to stay focused on ours.
Hmm. I agree with that.
Sounds too simple, doesn't it? Maybe you got a loved one that's not walking this walk out. Maybe you got loved ones that are not walking anything of with the Almighty, and you're like, well, help me. And maybe a good idea would be to throw yourself into helping restore his family. And during that, and maybe you'll see him begin to work on restoring our families.
Which is a valid point, Mike. And I think I shared this one time before. It's been a while. Back in the late 40s, early 50s, my dad was a young man, had moved out of the mountain area down to an industrial town where I was raised, found a church, and his church buddies and he used to get together and have prayer meetings at the church. And being a Pentecostal church, one of the frequent prayer gatherings was for certain ones to receive the baptism of the Holy Spirit, which my dad had not received as of yet, but he was praying for another man to receive when he received.
Well, yep, I've seen that happen.
So that taught me, when he shared that testimony with me many, many years ago, it sticks in my mind, similar to what you're talking about. My wife, Laura, has over the years, she struggled with one issue or the other physically at times. And she's a very strong and determined woman. She will persevere and press through, and you'll never know, perhaps, what she's enduring to do what she does at times. But praying for her healing, I was reminded, if you want her healed, pray for other people's spouses to be healed.
Yeah.
And I begin to think of the long list of people that I know, men whose wives suffer and are needing prayer. So not just praying just for my wife, but praying for other people's spouses. And if you have a need, I've heard it many times, if you have a financial need, find a place to give. Do something, sow something, be involved in blessing someone else. And so a lady many years ago, when I was a young teenager, I heard her say something along, she was praying, Father, why don't you bless me so that I can give? And his response was, why don't you give so I can bless you?
Mm.
And she said, but I don't have any money to give. But what she did have were the makings of a fruit pie. So she gathered the ingredients and she baked a pie and took it to someone that needed some encouragement. So while she didn't have any money to give, she found a way to be a giver. And if I remember the testimony correctly, out of that giving, then her need was met.
Yeah.
So it's not
Thinking
always
outside the box.
It's not always tit for tat.
Yeah.
Again, what is it that your hands find to do? Be involved in where you can be involved. But to pray and get on your recliner or your rocker on the front porch and say, well, let's just see how he does this. That's not necessarily Yahweh's plan. there are times, Mike, I get it. You've done all you can do.
Yeah.
The woman told Eliyahu, I'm going to go get a handful of sticks. I'm going to cook this last batch of flour that I have and oil. We're going to eat these biscuits and die. Good plan, lady. Good. That sounds like a good plan. Make me a biscuit first. The audacity. One might say even the arrogant audacity of that prophet to say, well, feed me first.
Yeah.
But Yah gave her an opportunity. She could be offended or supplied. One of the two. There's your message for Shabbat, Mike. You can be offended or get supplied. You're writing it down. I can see your arm moving.
Now I was looking for something.
So,
both of us, Barry, are other people support us. I've lived that way for many years, and I know that I see the people on Facebook that would want to take me to task over that, and how dare people? It's just you get aggravated about it. But this morning I got up, checked my email, and there's a person. I won't give any details. We have people that give all kinds of different amounts of money through the year. And there's a person, though, that sends me a PayPal once a month for $10. And I don't know what it is about that PayPal. But I find myself smiling every time because I understand. It helps me to understand that what people really go through. I don't know anything really much about the person's finances or whatever, but they would take the time. And I mean, I do that with everybody, every person that gives. We've helped. We've tried to support Israel. You guys, House of David, have been a part of that over these last 100 days, and I know people are taking things out of their wallet they shouldn't be, but they're seeing that their life. Maybe there's, how do I put this? They're seeing past themselves. I just told you about a project that we did in Israel, and I'm in the process of getting the funds there now. And people call me, people email, "Are you still giving to Israel?" Guys, there's not a week that goes by right now that I don't have some kind of need that comes in. It's not that it's not that are we, but how do we put this out? And I'm blessed that I'll be able to get on a plane next week, God willing, and we'll have a couple $1,000s extra in my pocket that I have no plans for at all right now. And I'm just kind of thinking about how many pizzas I can buy for IDF soldiers. How many places I can go? Where can I go and just bless somebody? Maybe a soldier that's in Jerusalem that has come off the front line, and they're sitting there contemplating the things that they've done that they would love to not remember. Hey, could I buy that piece of pizza for you? And it's because of people that are listening to this broadcast, and my other broadcasts, that you've thought outside of yourself. You're not just praying for you and your needs, but in your prayers, you're also putting action to that. And that may be a kind of a crazy segue around, Barry, but I just wanted to get in that, get that today, that you mentioned I'm going. Yeah, it's my face, but there's hundreds of other faces behind me. And I sure plan to, in the meetings that I have, to make sure that people know that it's not just my face. I just
Mhm.
happen to be the one in the front. And I
So,
look forward to the day that when we all stand and people receive rewards for what they've given, whether it's $10 or 1,000 or whatever it is. I may be up front right now, Barry, but I'd really love. One of my prayers has been through the years. I'd love to be able to stand in the back of the room and just watch as people receive their rewards for the things that they selflessly did.
yeah.
Sorry, kind of took that in a different direction, but
Well, in closing here, um, if you're prompted by the Ruach to do something more, you have something else you can give and contribute. You can PayPal it to Mike through his website, jointohashem.org. Um, you can, I'm sure Mike, we can put that certainly in the notes of this broadcast, but not just before he leaves. I mean, even while he's in the land, you watch it and
mhm.
it's like, oh, I didn't know he was going. Is it too late? And it's never too late. Keep
I
giving.
have an ATM card. I can get money.
And you don't know that what you send may be right on time for a particular need, just as it appears. And it's not when you go to Israel in this kind of situation, it's not that people meet you at the airport with their hands out. The number one thing is that they are delighted to see your face.
Yeah.
And there is just this, it's more than a humanity connection thing, it is a spiritual thing. It is like long lost family members showing up at your doorstep.
Mhm.
It's a vital connection. I've witnessed this personally. And I can tell you that when it's real, it's real. It's very real.
Yeah.
And then to be able to say, so what's going on? What are you guys doing? What are you dealing with right now? Well, can I help? And be able to offer something.
Yeah.
And Mike, it is putting back together the disintegrated stick of the house of Joseph, one splinter at a time, to where we can be joined together and become whole again. Ezekiel 37 says that there are two sticks for two houses of people that will become one people. Well, it's not just going to happen somehow. We are the somehow.
Yeah.
We are the somehow.
Yeah. Quit being a just and be a somehow.
Just give me credit one time, bro.
Uh,
That's all.
well, you can use that as a tagline. Don't be a just, be a somehow. And I appreciate prayers while I'm there. I mean, the first thing, of course, people pray is for safety. I'm not concerned about that. I appreciate the prayers for safety. Yes, of
Yes.
course. I've got to drive to Atlanta, but uh, yeah, and flying through Miami on the way back. But I would ask you if people would commit. I'm going to be there from the 16th. I get on the ground on the 17th through the 26th, I think it is. And I don't want to miss a divine appointment along the way.
Yeah.
And so that I would have discernment regarding appointments the Father has while I'm there. Um, would be appreciated. I'm going to be doing a lot of Facebook Live. I'm going to try to do a lot of YouTube and all that kind of stuff. So if people are not following me on Facebook, and when if you see that video, share it. Okay, don't just click the like button. Please share it. Leave a comment. That drives our algorithms, and you never know. that person you've been talking to about Israel. I had to go to the VA yesterday, and the doctor looked down at my ring, and it's Hebrew, Lanido di, I am my beloved is mine. And she said, "Nice ring." She said, "I know what it says." I said, "Oh yeah." She says, I grew up in a Orthodox yeshiva in Miami." I said, "Of course you did." And so we start talking. And I said, "Well, I've got to get this, need to get this appointment behind me because I leave Tuesday for Israel." And I thought she was going to fall on the floor. Here she is, Jewish, probably in her 50s. I said, "Yeah, this will be my 33rd trip." And she said, "I've always wanted to go, but I was too scared." How sad that you would be so afraid of life that you didn't live. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Folks, thank you for sharing
yeah.
this particular podcast on social media. Thank you for your comments. Join to Hashem.org if you want to contribute again. Also, meanwhile, back at the ranch while Mike is in Israel, our mutual friend Hanok Young will be touring through the United States. His schedule will be up on his website, Kol Yehuda, that's KOLYEHUDA.com. I think is it .com or .org?
.com.
.com. If
He'll
he
be at House of
is,
David.
if he is in any close proximity to you at all, go listen, support, encourage Hanok. Hanok is worn out. He needs to see family,
Yeah,
friends.
He does.
He needs some friendly faces.
Yeah.
And
Be a friendly face.
some loving encouragement. So he's coming. He will be in the United States throughout. Let's see, he's here the 24th, I think it is.
Yeah.
And so he should be within you here about the time you're landing there. He will be here. Something along.
He actually gets to New York. I will be coming into Newark about 2 hours behind him on the way. So I talked about it'll be the changing of the guard in Tel Aviv. Hanok's leaving, I'm going in. We got to leave some stability in the universe.
So again, go to Hanok's website, check out the touring schedule, and if at all possible, go. And normally, no, they do not broadcast, simulcast on Facebook or YouTube. And reason being, it's very simple. If people can sit at home and watch and not attend, number one, he doesn't see your face. Number two, people don't show up. And if people don't show up, there's no support.
Yep.
And talking to
Sad.
empty chairs is a lot different than full chairs, I can tell you.
Sad situation.
Makes a big difference.
Be involved, guys. Be involved. All right, Barry. Well, I don't know if I'll see you next week or not. We'll figure it out, okay?
Travel with Yah. Yah travel with you. And we hope to see you soon. And we hope to see all you soon as well. So until next time, shalom, y'all.
See ya.